Autism and neuromodulation acting during the windows of plasticity that are still available. Hello everyone, today in this video I'm going to talk to you specifically about the issue of brain plasticity, which is what neuromodulation acts upon and takes advantage of to improve the functioning of your autistic child. My name is Paul. I am the father of an autistic child who was diagnosed at the age of 3 and is now 10 years old, and for whom I have implemented an intensive neuromodulation protocol for about 3 months now. I'm making this video because I've had exceptional results, even though my son is no longer in the early windows of plasticity, since he is now 10 years old, and I started when he was still 9.5, at the end of his 9th year. So I'm sharing this information with you, first of all, to tell you that it's never too late, that the brain remains plastic all throughout life. Okay, we can change it, change our whole life. It's never set in stone. It's never too late. Even in cases of autism, there are atypical wirings, atypical neural connections, that is, connections that are inefficient, that are faulty, that don't allow the brain to function optimally. So there is a rule that you need to know. Obviously, when you have an autistic child, the goal is not to make you panic, but to raise your awareness. The longer you wait as the child grows, the harder you'll have to work to repair, to improve your child, because the windows of plasticity close. The ideal window of plasticity is from 0 to 3 years old, because that's what we call a window of plasticity. The critical period is when 80% of your child's neural wiring is formed and built. And it's during this period that the child's brain is the most malleable, the most adaptable and capable of improvement. It is also true at the age of 6, at the age of 9, like my son Alexandre. The proof is that in 3 months of neuroplasticity, I have seen exceptional results in my child's functioning. To give you some context, with my son, I did everything I could over the past 7 years without seeing any significant results, at least in my opinion. I started to see significant results over the last 3 months. By implementing an intensive neuromodulation protocol, the auditory and tactile hypersensitivity disappeared, the restricted interest disappeared, the stereotypes and self-stimulations disappeared, my child's ability to concentrate increased dramatically, and the limbic system was completely regulated. Before, my son would cry, laugh. He would cry for 20 minutes, then laugh for 20 minutes. Today, my son is regulated, so it's completely different. In 3 months, I have witnessed a transformation in my son. That doesn't mean he's becoming someone else. It means Alexandre is becoming Alexandre. My son is becoming Alexandre. Yet my son was diagnosed with level 1 autism by a neurologist after an electroencephalogram was performed, which, by the way, the neurologist observed him for about 20 minutes. And that's how this diagnosis was made. Okay, he had received the same diagnosis from psychologists in different countries. So it's something I've analyzed. I've done everything I could. I hired psychologists for 1 year, 2 years to try to help him improve, to work with him. I trained myself in ABA. So behavioral improvements, that is rewarding good behaviors and ignoring bad ones, had very little impact, whereas neuromodulation had a revolutionary, completely transformative effect at this stage. I'm not going to say that we've won. I'm not there yet. Today, I still lack advanced language skills. I still lack theory of mind, that is the ability to generalize. But I already have an enormous ability to concentrate. I've made great progress in cognitive abilities, in intellectual capacities that are completely different now. I work with an educator who takes care of my son, who writes reports for me, and I track his progress. Beyond the behavioral markers, which are undeniable because of the hypersensitivity, when I play music at 100 decibels, he no longer puts his hands over his ears. Clinically, it's indisputable that it has disappeared, whereas before, even a little bit of music would make him scream because it hurt him. So all these clinical improvements, I actually achieved them thanks to neuromodulation. The earlier you intervene with your child, the better it is. The more you take advantage of the windows of plasticity. So neuromodulation today is very little known among autism specialists. It is underestimated, even though it has the potential to transform many children, or at least to bring about significant improvement. The scientific literature has demonstrated this. Today, there are more than 200 scientific articles on PubMed and Google Scholar that establish the electrophysiological dysfunctions that are recurrently present in autistic children, and neuromodulation has the ability in most cases to significantly improve these dysfunctions. Thank you. I invite you to to pursue this path. At least that's the one I decided to pursue myself with exceptional results. And I encourage you to take advantage of it as actively as possible, of your child's windows of plasticity, because between ages 0 and 3 and then between 3 and 6, it's already not the same anymore. Then between ages 9, 10 and what we see at 13 or 14, it's also not the same anymore. Plasticity decreases. Rest assured, it's there throughout life, but it does decrease. That doesn't mean it will be impossible to correct. It just means it will be more difficult. So when we have a lever such as neuromodulation, when we are responsible, it truly seems completely and utterly inexplicable to me. Or at the very least, it is unthinkable not to try this specific approach when every other possible avenue has already been exhausted. When we've been told repeatedly that we have to accept it, to resign ourselves to the situation, even though we have a major lever that is deliberately kept quiet and shrouded in silence for reasons I don't know, and which is most of the time largely unknown to the majority of autism specialists working today, even though neurostimulation, neuromodulation, in fact, can change the brain's plasticity, improve synchronization, reduce gamma hypoactivations, and even normalize them. Gamma hypoactivations in the gamma frequency band electrophysiologically are a common trait among most autistic children, according to the scientific literature. It improves connectivity, it enhances thinking time, the information processing delay by better synchronizing brain regions. So it physically improves the problem at its source. And another major advantage of plasticity, since that's the focus of this video, is that neuromodulation reopens windows of plasticity that had closed over time. And that's one of the great advantages of neuromodulation. It doesn't just improve the brain's electrophysiological functioning, but it also reopens windows of plasticity that may have closed. That means your child's brain becomes more plastic, much more sensitive to new experiences, and more capable of being improved through consistent daily stimulation. The work that your child can do at school or when working with an educator means that his overall learning capacity and his learning speed will be greatly increased. Compared to a scenario where there is only education but no neuromodulation, since you are not addressing the functional problems. So to recap, neuromodulation allows you to improve or even eventually to solve the issue of electrophysiology in your child's brain. Scientific literature proves it. I have included some references in the description of this video. But the second major advantage is that it reopens windows of plasticity, so it allows your child's brain to greatly increase its learning speed. So those are really the two main advantages of neuromodulation. With regard to plasticity, to the brain's ability to change in your autistic child. There you go. I hope this video will be useful to you. If you enjoyed it, I invite you to subscribe. Why? Because in the next videos, I will share with you the clinical progress of Alexandre, my son. Since today I have 3 months of neuromodulation experience. I have seen exceptional results regarding hypersensitivity and stereotypes. The self-stimulations and restricted interests have disappeared after 3 months of neuromodulation. And I will share his progress with you in the upcoming videos that will be posted on this YouTube channel. And of course, once again, I wish your autistic child the best possible improvement.